What's up?
Hey, Sutton.
Hey, Brad.
How are you guys doing there in YouTube land? How are you guys doing? It's good to be with you tonight. It's summertime, right?
Summertime.
You can sing, I can't sing. But hey, we're glad that you guys are with us. We got something special for you tonight. We'll have a conversation about race and the gospel with Kyla and Kyman Warman here in a little bit. But before we get there, Sutton, this is like a special thing we're doing each week because there's some really important stuff that I think Weatherman Jared needs to share with us.
We're all about being well-informed, so we're going to send it out to Jared right now for our weather report. Jared, what's it like out there?
What's up, PV students? I'm here with your weather report for the day. I hope that you guys are ready for some heat because there's a heat wave coming through for the rest of your week. Expect abundant sunshine this weekend as the weekend's coming up. You're going to want to keep that umbrella handy, but you probably won't need it because it's just going to be sunny and hot. And it's summer, and that's the weather. Back to you.
Thanks, Jared. I'm
All
glad
right.
that we know that it is.
It's hot. You know it's hot outside, and you know what I thought was funny? Jared's wearing a long sleeve shirt out there in the sand and everything. So
he probably plays volleyball in a flannel.
True. Good point. Good point. Volleyball and flannel. That ought to be a theme night sometime this summer. Volleyball and flannel.
It could be a country music album too. Like it's Kenny Chesney's next thing. Volleyball and flannel.
Volleyball and flannel. Well, hey, I think we want to do a 6 and 60. We've got 6 questions in 60 seconds. Who are we gonna call?
Hey, Josh, are you there? Knock, knock.
Yeah.
Hey.
Josh, you're here.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just want to get to know you, let all the other students on here get to know you. What is the favorite food that you've had in the last week?
Probably cheesecake that my parents made the other night.
Ooh, what kind of cheesecake?
It was just plain, but we put some cherries on it.
That's the best kind.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's
you kind of want plain cheesecake. It's just a palette to
plain
build
cheesecake.
Your artwork on top of. It's
yeah.
great.
By the way, nice hat you have there. You got the ceiling fan going on. The little ceiling fan halo. So, hey, we're gonna switch gears. Sutton's gonna ask you the fun questions. I'm gonna ask you the spiritual questions. Okay.
What you trying to say?
So, what is your favorite book of the Bible?
Exodus, because it kind of shows how God made everything work together, even though there are multiple moving parts.
It's good stuff. What's your favorite thing about quarantine?
Getting to do different things like fishing and biking that I normally wouldn't do during the summer.
Fishing, do you lie about what you catch?
Well, today I just caught a 4-pound fish, and that was fine.
Okay, all right. Well, that was a bonus question, I guess.
A 4-pound fish? I don't know,
4
man.
pound?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Did you hold it like way far away, like close to the camera? I mean, you need to take some tips from Bass Pastor. He can.
Bass Pastor can show you how to take.
Yeah, he'll show you how. So, hey, what's the last quiet time that you had? Like, what passage, what verse?
It was today, and it was Job 3, the whole chapter of Job 3.
Right. Little Job.
Who was it? Was it Cole who said his favorite book of the Bible
Yes,
was Job?
yeah. Cole did this a few weeks ago, and his favorite book of the Bible was Job. It's really an uplifting book if you read through it.
Glad we're all getting into it right now. It's kind of fitting. But what time do you usually get up right now?
I usually get up at 7 o'clock so I can get my workout done, and then I take a shower.
Ooh, what kind of workout do you do?
I just do a few sit-ups and push-ups, nothing crazy.
That's good. It's good to keep yourself spry.
Yeah,
Get some stretches in
I
the
was
morning.
afraid it was going to be yoga or something like that.
I was
So,
afraid running,
yeah,
the worst workout.
Pilates, kickboxing,
Running.
Something like that. So, okay, hey, last question, Josh. Hey, what's one thing that God has taught you over the last month or so?
I would say the biggest thing is that he's really taught me to not worry about things going around in the world or things happening, inside the government and things like that outside, like in other countries. And, he's kind of told me just to settle and not worry about all those things, and he'll take care of it.
It's good stuff.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. I have your address, so if you'll message me like, hey, what do you want for DoorDash? You get another DoorDash because you kind of went through this painful exercise called 6 and 60. So thanks for being with us, man. We'll see you soon.
We'll see ya.
All righty.
Okay, now, hey, as we continue to move on, we've got some worship live here tonight. Daniel Day is going to lead us, but to kind of prepare our hearts for that, why don't you just let this video wash over you and prepare your hearts for worship.
Hey y'all, I'm Daniel, and I'm so happy to be leading worship with you tonight and to be participating with worship with you tonight. Tonight we're going to sing a couple of songs. I just hope that they wash over you. I hope that they wash over you with, especially during this time. Yeah, I'm just going to start singing because I'm terrible at improv. Okay. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the arm above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Yes, he is. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Only there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. in the valley, God, you're near. In the quiet, oh God, you're near. And in the shadow, oh God, you're near. And am I breaking? Oh God, you're near. You're near. Oh God, you never leave my side. Your love will stand firm through all my life. And in my searching, oh God, you're near. And in my wandering, oh God, you're near. And when I feel alone, oh God, you're near. At my lowest, oh God, you're near. You're near. Oh God, you never leave my side. Your love stand firm through all my life. Oh God, you never leave my side. Your love stand firm through all my life. Oh, height nor depth nor anything else could pull us apart. We are joined as one by your blood. And hope will rise as we become more than conquerors through the one who loved the world. Height nor depth nor anything else can pull us apart. We are joined as one by your blood. Oh, hope will rise as we become more than conquerors through the one who loved the world. Oh God, you never leave my side. Your love stand firm through all my life. Oh God, you never leave my side. Your love stand firm through all my you never leave my side. Your love will stand firm through all my life. And in the valley, oh God, you're near.
All right, hey HSM, it's good to be with you. Good to be back here. We're going to tackle the elephant in the room a little bit tonight, and unless you've been living under a rock, you know about all the protests over the tragic, horrifying death of George Floyd. It happened a week or so ago, and so tonight we're just going to talk about where do we go from here? And so I've got Kyla and Kyman Warman here, and Kyla just graduated high school, and Kyman is going to be a junior next year at Kearney High School. So let's just kind of start here. Like, what was your first reaction when you heard about the death of George Floyd?
Well, the way I first saw it was disturbing. The fact that I was scrolling on my Instagram feed and all of a sudden there's this video of this man being killed before my eyes, and it hurt, not only because there was nothing I could do. You know, you wanted to reach through the screen, like you hear them telling him he can't breathe, and it's like you want to do something, and I couldn't do anything. And just the fact that, also knowing that he did nothing to deserve what happened to him.
Right.
Realizing that it could have been any black man. It could have been my brother. You know, it hurt, and it was scary because he did nothing to deserve it.
Right. Kyman, how about you?
So originally my dad had explained the video to me. I didn't watch it. But he showed me this video, and he described the horrific things that happened, and honestly it instilled some fear into me of watching the video, and I wanted to shield myself. So originally I read descriptions of what happened, I listened to the audio of what happened, but I never actually watched the video because I didn't know if I was ready. I had watched the videos of Ahmaud Arbery, and it took an emotional toll on me for that whole day. That was like ruined my day. So I really didn't know if I was ready to watch this video. But finally, whenever I built up the mentality to watch it, I watched it and I was like horrified. But in that same instant, I was like, this is repetitive. This keeps happening over and over. What is it going to take? And I didn't know that it was going to spark outrage throughout the whole entire world and make protests in each of the 50 states. But I'm glad that it did, and rightfully so it did happen.
Right.
But I was just not expecting that.
Yeah, you talked about the cycle, like before George Floyd, it was Ahmaud Arbery, and we can go back. It seems like it's like clockwork, this cycle of something tragic happens, there's an outrage, protests, sometimes those turn violent with riots and those kind of things, and then everything settles, and we talk about change, we talk about doing all those things, and then we settle into normal until the next one comes along. This one feels different, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So explain that to me a little bit. How does this one different?
Well, really, I think it's kind of like the thing that's just sitting like the elephant in the room is social media. We have proof now. Like, pretty for sure it was Will Smith that said that racism has always existed, but now we have cameras.
Yeah.
We see this stuff straight on. There is no denying it.
There's no black and white.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no gray area. It's just black and white. Like, you can't dispute anything that happens in that video. It's a 10-minute video, and it's all there.
Yeah, there's no grainy video. There's no trying to decipher what happened. It's just clear, right?
Yeah.
So when we think, something has to change, right? And we feel like this time feels different, whether it's because of social media and it's just so clear, whatever it is. What, from your seat, from where you're sitting, is you're ready to go off to Howard, right?
Yes.
And get ready to start your junior year in high school in the fall. What has to change?
Well, I think the first thing is, in which I feel like we've already started to do this, is educate and awareness. And with social media, awareness has been able to take place, and education has been able to also take place. And really, there's no excuse for ignorance anymore because it's all at the hands, of technology. And, then the next is we have to be proactive about the change, you know. I think one of the first things that needs to happen is systematic change. Holding these people accountable of people who are literally murdering people need to be held accountable as any other citizen would. And
like along with that, this all stemmed from slavery, and this has become a problem that just trickled down through our history, and now we still have these exact same problems. And the law is here to combat that, and is here to punish people that break that law. But I also feel like it's our jobs as Christians to change the hearts of the people that are committing these actions, because racism is a belief. No law, contract, agreement is just going to cease for racism to exist. It is our job to change the hearts of people, and we just have to take that step up.
And especially as Christians, you know, us all coming together, we all have that commonality of we want to spread the love of Jesus. And so first, I think most importantly, we all have to come together and empower each other, and, you know, even if we have different ideologies on some things, we can unite on that and take that and want to spread the love of Christ, because that's what he would want us to do.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. You know what? Because at its root, this is a spiritual issue, right? Because we're humans. I mean, and living, breathing, talking, eating, sleeping. You know, we're humans. We're part of the human race, and so we all have God's fingerprint, His design on us. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But maybe before we go, help paint a picture of the reality of what you have to think about and deal with each day. Because I think sometimes maybe our tendency is that the really difficult racism that we have to deal with exists in the inner city. And that's not to slight what's going on in the inner city, but that's not the only place that it exists, right? I mean, you guys were telling me just a couple of weeks ago, you were out for a walk, run, and you had people go by and yell the N-word at you. And so talk about maybe some of those things. Help us feel a little bit and understand what it's like to live as Kyla and Kyman.
So I think I can start this. So for someone like me and someone like you could probably start the day as a high schooler, going on the bus, having an easy way to transportation that's completely peaceful. But for someone like me, I have to worry about who might throw something at me, who might call me the N-word. You can go into the classroom and have a good, completely distraction-free education, but I have to worry about the people murmuring racist remarks behind me and being distracted from my education, having to put up more just to stay focused.
Yeah.
And
so pause here. Like, does that happen all the time? I mean, is that, you feel like you know, once a week, every day? I mean, it's like, how often do you feel like you just have to mentally prepare yourself for that?
I think every morning I mentally prepare myself for going to school, because I never know what's going to happen. It's a different situation probably each day, but they're all under different circumstances. So I never know how to exactly combat what I'm going to face that day, but I just know generally something's probably going to happen. I have to be mentally prepared for that. And whether that be just emotionally prepared and know how to handle myself, I have to do it every day.
Yeah. What are you, Kyla?
So for me, I would say that people are more like upfront with my brother. For me, most of it comes through like social media and just like the passive aggressive remarks. And, you know, whenever we've had situations with my brother, you know, where he's been bullied and harassed, and same with myself. And it really does, especially in the classroom. And, you know, you want to go to school feeling safe, and I want to learn. That's what I come there to do. And to be consistently, you know, having to worry about other things, it does take a toll on you. And it's draining and it's tiring, hearing the same things over and over. And always feeling like we also have to always be the bigger people. Like, we always have to be the ones to forgive them. We always have to be the calm people. Like, they can come yell these things at us, but we have to stay.
You don't get to respond, right?
Right. We have to, or else we come off as the angry black people, you know? And then you start to get the stereotypes involved, and people just assuming things about me on the daily basis that aren't true. And like for my brother, you know, he wanted to join the swim team, and having to face those, you know, oh, black people don't swim, like those type of things. We just have to, life is different.
Yeah.
We have to
Adapt to everything.
exactly. We have to be the ones to always adapt.
Every aspect of our life we have to adapt to. And how Kyla was saying, how people view us, I know the way that I dress going to school, I cannot just wear joggers and a t-shirt because people might perceive me as the stereotype of what they think a black person should be. I have to talk a certain way. I can't be too loud. I can't be too aggressive. I have to carry myself a certain way. I have to talk a certain way just to combat the stereotypes that other people hold and the biases that other people hold. And it goes on from school. It carries on to our daily lives and just...
Yeah, it's not just school, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
So,
Talk about maybe some of those that you've had to endure. Not that we're wanting to share war stories, but trying to help paint a picture for those watching, listening. Like, what's it really like? Because we use this term, white privilege, or like we were talking earlier, Marla had a great term, white advantage, and part of that's where the biases play off. Like, you have to work really hard. You talked about how you have to dress at school just to be able to have a level playing field. It's like you're already starting a couple of steps behind, but it's not just at school. Talk about maybe some of the other things that maybe you've personally experienced.
okay, so I think something that people might enjoy, like as a leisurely activity, like going on a run, which is something that I run 2 miles every day, and me and Kyla used to run like 4 together, but we kind of had to cut back on that because of the incident on the trail whenever we were just simply running, and it was a group of 5th or 6th graders with the N-word in their vocabulary, and one of them shouted, "I'm an N-word," with the ER, and in that moment, it's like, how do you even react? You're in anger right now, and it's a 5th grader. How do you go about telling them that? How do you go about telling them that that's not okay? It's just, every single situation is different. You never know how to properly handle it, and that takes an emotional toll on itself. And like Kyla said, we're always having to adapt. I don't go on that trail anymore. Instead of running 4 miles every other day, we run 2 miles on the short trail every day. It's just, we're constantly having to change.
I mentioned that I'm convinced that this is a spiritual issue, a gospel issue. And you talked about how Jesus transformed hearts. Like, how do we go about doing that? And maybe explain like how you see this as a spiritual gospel type of issue.
Yeah, so I would just first and foremost say that we can't live in hypocrisy, you know. We have to show the love of God that he's shown to us. And so in my daily life, you know, I've always tried to show love to others. And I've even got the questions, you know, at school, like, why do you always smile at me in the hallway? Why do you always wave to me? Why did you start KIND, which is Carney Inclusion and Diversity? And it's like, it opens the ability to have a conversation about, well, because Christ loved me, so why wouldn't I want to love others? And, yeah.
Coming?
So I have a verse, which is Ephesians 6:12, and it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." And I just brought this passage with us today because I think we need to realize that this is like bigger than the actions of some humans. We are fighting a system. We are fighting a power. We are fighting a belief and an influence. And it's not just going to take like one thing just to fix all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not just going to take like one church lesson just to fix all this stuff. It's much bigger than that. But I feel like we as a Christian, we have the biggest window. We are one of the biggest groups of people in the world. And like Hyla said, the one thing that brings us together, that's Christ, that's God, that is the Bible, that is the language that we speak. And if we are able to speak about racism and address racism in the manner using the Bible, then we're opening up a whole world of opportunities for people to understand and spread that word while also bringing us closer to Christ, which I think...
That's awesome because, I mean, we see brokenness, right? I mean, I know you guys were down taking part in some of the marches over the last few days down on the plaza, and I know you saw a variety of stuff going on there, whether it's people peaceful, people really angry, all across the board. Where do you find your emotions going during this time?
For me, it's just given me more drive. Like, it reminds me of why I want to go into what I want to go into, and I want to go into law, to be that advocate, to be there for the people who feel like they don't have a voice, and to fight the bias, like, in the courtroom and making, like, systematic change. And so I think these situations always just sit as a reminder for me of why I'm doing what I want to do and why I have to continue to work hard to get to where I want to get.
Yeah.
And I think I'm kind of on the same page as Kyla, but like I previously mentioned, it instills fear in me. I'm not going to hide that fact or beat around the bush that it scares me. And honestly, I don't think as a team many people are like thinking about their kids, but I'm thinking about, are my kids going to have to go to those same protests that I'm going to? Are they going to have to deal with the exact same problems? How long is this going to take for us to change this stuff? And is my work going to like pay off? Is my struggles and everything that I have to change going to pay off for them?
Yeah. That brings to mind, I mean, I've seen so much on social media. We were talking about this, people sharing content and things like that. A video, I don't think he took it, but I think I first saw it. Lecrae had shared it, but it's an interaction between some different generations of black men. I think it's in Atlanta. There's maybe a 46-year-old or 31-year-old, and then there's a 16-year-old, and they're talking about, ultimately, like, this isn't the way, talking about the violence and all those kind of things, and then the 46-year-old and the 31-year-old basically look at the 16-year-old, like, soon you're going to have somebody, and I think the 31-year-old had a 5-year-old at home, and just talking about at some point this has to change, and you talking about the kids that you are going to have someday, are they going to have to live through this? And I hope not. I sure hope not. But in order to kind of move things forward, and knowing that we can't change the whole system overnight, I wish we could. What are maybe some practical things that high school students can do?
Well, I would first and foremost say, like, yes, I want to, I want to get to a systematic change, but, like, it starts in our communities, and it starts with our friends, and holding them accountable. If you hear them say something they shouldn't be saying, hold them accountable. Having those talks about what those words mean, and if you hear them saying a stereotype, calling them out on it. I would just say education is a huge part in what we can do and to help each other. And
learn about this. So along that line, like, if there was one book that you'd want somebody to read, what would it be?
Well, I could say a few. So, like,
other than the Bible.
Yes. I would say The Hate U Give is a great place to start because it gets to put you in the perspective of someone who is African American, and she actually, it's not just, there was a police shooting and her friend was killed, but it's not just the police officer's perspective versus the man's. She was in the car with him, and so she got to see it from a different view, and it's about her finding empowerment and finding her voice, and I really connected to it just because, she's African American going to predominantly white school and having to face stereotypes and just trying to find her voice.
Yeah.
And then another book is Bias. It's just literally talking about all the different ways we have bias and where they come from. And whenever you're able to address them, and you're able to catch yourself, you are able to see it more. And I don't think we realize how many, like, unconscious ones we have.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's the one thing I've been trying to grow in is, like, what are the things that I do not on purpose that show I'm biased? And because I don't want to be that way, but I can't use the excuse of being uninformed anymore. And I don't think any of us can. There's too many resources out there. So how about you, Kyle? What's one thing that you feel like a high school student could do right now?
I think we spend hours and hours a day on technology, especially being stuck at the house. So I think using social media to the best of its advantage, which I feel like a lot of people have been doing. My whole Instagram has been flooded with Black Lives Matter, that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
Yep.
And I've seen people become really passionate about this, people that I wouldn't expect to at school. And so I know a lot of people have been doing that type of stuff, but like Kyla said, just don't let it slip loose. Whenever we go back to school, keep it up. Keep protesting, keep reposting, keep constructing your own words about and your opinions. Hold these conversations with your peers, with your coworkers, with your families. Be the leaders within your social circle, and like be the change.
Yep.
I would just to add to that, like being open, I think is one of the most important parts. Like having your ears open to hear other perspectives besides your own, because it's so easy to like get defensive and just want to surround yourself around people who make you comfortable. And this isn't a comfortable situation or conversation to have. And I think we have to work on meeting different types of people and hearing different perspectives and reading different types of books with different, points of view.
I mentioned to you, well, there have been like a handful of movies that have really deeply moved me that I've watched in my life. And a couple of them, one just last night, I watched Just Mercy. But another one was 12 Years a Slave a few years ago, won an Academy Award. And they wrecked me. I'd read about the things, but to have the visual depiction of what had happened really, really marked me. But I'm also struck, you see videos of little black boys and little white boys coming together and hugging, and there's nothing, there's no thought there that somebody looks different than you. When did you first, kind of realize that, oh wow, I'm treated differently because of the color of my skin?
I immediately think of whenever I was in first grade, and it was Martin Luther King Day, and we were watching a video, and I noticed that everyone kept looking at me, and my immediate reaction was to start crying because I didn't understand, like, why is everyone looking at me?
Yeah.
But, like, I knew something was different, and I began to talk to my mom, because I went to the counselor, and then that sparked a conversation. And then another thing is, like, in elementary school, like, my hair, it's something I love now. And I loved it back then, but it was because people made me seem, like, different, and they wanted to, touch my hair.
Right.
And I felt like I was, like, a circus animal in a way. It's like they were treating me different, but it wasn't in a way that I liked. And so then it's like I didn't want to wear my hair out because I got so much attention about it.
Yeah.
And that's why many girls, begin straightening their hair and just trying to assimilate to the white,
blend in, right?
to the white culture. And obviously, as I've gotten older, I've learned to love who I am and love my hair. And no, you can't touch my hair because this is me. And
That's a reminder to all of you, no, you cannot touch Kyla's hair.
No, yes.
There you go. All right. Kyman, how about you?
Well, actually, my experiences are kind of similar to Kyla's, but I think the difference was, as an elementary school kid, I liked the attention, but I didn't know where it was coming from. I liked whenever people put pencils in my hair and, like, just made it stay there.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it meant. It was attention to me, though, and whenever we're coloring pictures of each other, I was the one that got the brown crayon, which that excited me. I was different from everybody else. And I think it was probably about 4th grade. We were, like, playing tag, and then one of my friends said the N-word, and I didn't know what it meant, and probably until, like, 3 years later was whenever I remembered that same instance, and I was like, he said that? And that was in 4th grade. But I think it was, like, up about until middle school was whenever I really found my identity, and, like, I am an African-American male, and that's who I am. And then looking back at elementary, I was like, I shouldn't have let that stuff happen. But I was
didn't know, right?
Yeah, I was completely blind to that at that point. But I really didn't know until middle
So
school.
go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I also wanted to share, like, whenever it was my freshman year of high school, whenever I became really passionate about this, because, I had experienced racism, but it was from someone I considered a friend. And, I even carried those stereotypes of what a racist person looks like, what they act like, what they sound like. And it caught me off guard so much. And it just showed me that, this has become built into our culture. And anyone is capable of it. It's passed down, and people begin to think it's just okay. And I knew that I didn't want anyone else to have to, like, go through what I went through and not have support and not have people there for them to explain it to them. Like, imagine kids who face racism every day and don't have someone to talk to it about and just hold it in. And it leads to a lot of mental health issues and a lot more problems.
Right. We talked a little bit about what it's like in each of your shoes, but it's very different for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's different for a young African-American male than it is for a young African-American female. What are the differences?
I really think it's like, well, obviously how we're perceived, but I always have to carry myself in, like, the nicest manner possible and non-aggressive as possible. Or even whenever I'm running, I have to make sure that I, like, slow down whenever I pass a person that's walking by, and I have to make sure that I say hi and smile, even though I might be out of breath and look crazy doing it. I always have to carry myself in, like, the most polite manner possible and not come off aggressive as all. And I really don't know if Kyla experiences the same thing, but, like, even whenever I'm walking into a store and window shopping, just looking around, like, I cannot do that whatsoever without feeling uncomfortable, or
'Cause people are watching you?
people are watching me. And I always have to make sure that my hands aren't in my pockets. I'm not having a jacket on or anything like that, or a hood on. And so it's just, I don't know if you experience anything
And
different.
I would just say, like, your experiences with racism, like, people say it to your face. Like,
hers is more over social media, but people,
Hers
boys
are,
and
are
girls,
kind of the comments, not to your face. They won't confront you with it, but yours are.
Yeah.
straight to my face, boys and girls, and it's just,
I will say it's different in that way, that his are more like with, like, it's all racism, but people say it, like, more aggressively to him, and mine are like the passive aggressive sly comments, and they all have the same impact, but they come across
different ways.
They're kind of they come across nice at first, and you're like, whoa, what, you just said that?
Right.
Okay, so as we wrap up, what's one thing that you would like to say? This will live on the interwebs forever, right? So someday when you pass the bar exam, and you're going to be able to say, this is what I was passionate about, and what is it that you'd want to say right now?
I would want to tell, first and foremost, people who are white, that you have a privilege, and it's nothing you earned, it's something you're born with, and that you don't have to look at it and get defensive in that way, or say that I don't like being white. No, that's not the right response. It's, I'm white, and what can I do to help you? And how can I use my privilege to help others? And, standing up for us. And like you said earlier, about, like, the white power. Do you mind saying that again?
The advantage, the white.
What advantage?
No, it was, it was how we are going to need white people to make the change. This is one of the videos I talked about. Said, this has been a problem created by the white person, and so the solution is going to have to be created by the white person. And I love that, because, people expect us to speak up about these issues, and people, because it seems like a race issue, but it's really not. It's a human rights issue, and we need all voices. We need all hands on deck. We need the people in power, doing what they can to make the change.
Yeah, that was a good word you told me the other day when I texted you and said, hey, your voice is probably more powerful than mine. And you said, I disagree. They're expecting me to say something. We need
Right.
you to say something.
Right.
And that was a good word. That was a good word. Kyman, how about you? Last thoughts?
Well, first off, I think for like any younger viewers that I know it's like seems cliche and all that stuff, but like they really can do whatever they want. This is 2020, and even though it seemed like the system in the world is against them, and it is in some ways, they are still capable of doing anything that anyone else is able to do. And I wish I would have heard that whenever I was younger, and maybe like just expressed myself for who I am. And then to the older people, like the teens at my school and stuff, like I said, just use your platform.
Yeah.
Social media is so powerful. That is how I've gotten everything about everything that's happened lately. That's how I've heard about all the news, seen all the videos, gotten in with the protests. It is so powerful, and if we use that to our advantage, we're limitless. And
Right.
like the youth is the future.
Yeah. Before we close, I just want to say to those of you watching, I would encourage you just to kind of search your own heart. What is it that God would have you do? How do you need to learn more? How maybe do you need to learn in understanding that this really is a spiritual issue? It's a gospel issue. And the reality is the only way this will change, and you guys talked about this, like the heart has to change. And the only way the heart's going to change is if Jesus is present. And so if we try to do all these things and leave Christ out, the change that we want to see will never happen. And so just to encourage you, when you think about this, you can't separate it and say that's a culture issue and we got spiritual issues over here. No, they're one and the same. This is a spiritual issue. And I would just encourage you to think that way and ask the Lord to reveal to you where your heart is and how you can move forward. Because it's going to take all of us to bring the change that we really want to see. It's not just one or two people that are passionate about it. It's going to take all of us. So, hey, I'm proud of you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being vulnerable because, I'm trying to think through what am I going to say? Is somebody going to make fun of me or whatever? So thank you. Thank you for being here. So we're going to throw it over to Jared to close it off. But thanks for joining us tonight, and he'll close things off and pray for us.
Yeah, again, like Pastor Brad said, just want to say so much thanks to Kyla and Kyman just for their investment and their ministry to all of us. It would have been a lot easier for them to not open up about these things and be super vulnerable with us. And I know it's been convicting to me. And I know it's just, we're meeting together in grace, wanting to learn, wanting to grow. And people like them are a huge step in allowing us all to do that. So I'm gonna pray for us as we close out tonight. We know that this is a conversation that's ongoing, and so want to support you guys. If there's questions you have, anything you want to add to this, you can feel free to send us a message on Instagram or email or whatever. We'd love to keep the conversation going. Let's pray, and then we'll wrap up. Father God, we're just thankful for the opportunity to just kind of take a break from social media and just all the inputs and to worship together, and then just kind of sit down and have a family conversation, Father. And we know that your grace and your gospel meets us in the midst of this. And Father, where there's so many opportunities for redemption, God, your gospel leads us in that. And so, Father, where there's issues where we need conviction, I pray that you convict us, that you lead us, that you guide us. Father, where encouragement is needed, I pray that we are open and abundant with that. Father, when thanks is needed, I pray that we're forthcoming and quick to step into thanking those around us who have helped us grow in the issues of developing just our own worldview and our own mindset in areas where we need to be pruned in our own thinking. So, Father, we love you, and we just thank you for leading the way on this and setting an example and giving us your word to help guide and refine us as we figure all the messiness of this out. So, Father, thanks again for tonight. Thanks for this family who's leaning in together. And thanks for those who are ministering to us in the midst of kind of discovering truth. God, and we love you so much and just pray that in your name. Amen. Awesome, guys. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week.